Namaskaram everybody. We will be starting in a couple of minutes. Hope you're able to view my video and listen to my audio clearly. Please give me a thumbs up or please add your comment if you're able to listen properly. First of all, I place my humble pranams and namaskarams to all the acharyas, gurus, Kanchi Mahaswami and Amba Kamakshi. I also take this opportunity to thank the organizers of Shri Shankara Hall, Kolkata for organizing this beautiful satsang. Please let me know if my audio and video are clear. कारणपरचिद्रूपा काञ्चीपुरसीम्नि कामपीठगता काचन विहरति करुणा काश्मीरस्तबककोमलाङ्गलता कञ्चन काञ्चीनिलयम् करधृतकोदण्ड बाणश्रेणिपाशम् कठिनस्तनभरणं रं कैवल्यानन्द कन्दमवलम्बे. Today's presentation is about Kamakshi Ambal, the mother goddess who is the empress in Kanchipuram Kshetra, who has her abode in Kanchipuram. We will be meditating upon her in the next 1 hour. I will just give you an overview about what you could expect from the next 1 hour. So I'll be starting with a brief introduction, then move on to how she manifested from the Bilakasham from Kanchipuram. Then we'll be describing Devi's form and discussing the characteristics. And then we'll move on to the interaction that happened among Manmatha, Ambal and Parameshwara. We'll be concluding this session by discussing one of the most important works on Kamakshi, that is Mooka Panchashathi, composed by Mooka Kavi. With that, let us get into the presentation. There is a famous quote that says, Narishu Ramba, Nagareshu Kanchi, Pushpeshu Jatihi, Purusheshu Vishnuhu. What does this mean? Out of all the women, Ramba is considered to be the most beautiful. Similarly, out of all the cities, Kanchipuram is considered to be the most sacred, and out of all the flowers it is jasmine, out of all the men it is Lord Vishnu. Kanchipuram is considered to be one of the mokshapuris that we have in India. There are totally 7 mokshapuris which give the Jivatmas liberation, the highest Purushartha. There is a shloka which lists down all these 7 mokshapuris. Ayodhya, Mathura, Maya, Kashi, Kanchi, Avantika, Puri, Dwaravati, Chaiva, Saptaite, Mokshadayakaham. So the 7 cities are Ayodhya, and then you have Mathura. Maya is nothing but Haridwar. You have Varnashi, you have Kanchi Kshetra, and then Avantika is nothing but Ujjain, and then Dwaraka. Interestingly, the 6 cities are in the northern part of Bharat, and the one which is in the southern part of the country is Kanchi Kshetra. So there is a Mahima of Kanchipuram Kshetram and Amba Kamakshi that we are going to meditate upon. So there is a text called Kamakshi Vilasam, which is present in Markandeya Puranam. So this has all the details about the story of Kamakshi Ambal, how she manifested, and all interesting facts related to Amba Kamakshi, the mother goddess. Sage Durvasa, who is considered to be an avatar of Lord Parameshwara himself, has written a detailed text called Saubhagya Chintamani. This includes all the rituals, puja rituals, the procedures on ceremonies that need to be conducted in the Kamakshi Amman temple of Kanchipuram. Even today, the temple priests have this Saubhagya Chintamani as the reference to carry out the utsavams, rituals, worships, etc. Let us get into the interpretations or the meaning for the word Kamakshi in Sanskrit. Akshi in Sanskrit means eyes, Netram. So there are three prominent goddesses with this name Akshi, right? You must have guessed already. Meenakshi from Madurai, and then we have Kamakshi from Kanchipuram, our Nayaki for today's evening. Then we have Visalakshi from Varanasi. So Kamakshi means one who fulfills our desires with a mere glance. Second popular meaning is Kaman plus Akshi, one who blessed Kaman or Manmathan with her divine look. And then another popular interpretation is we divide the name Kamakshi into Ka plus Ma plus Akshi. Ka is the consort of Brahma. Ka is Brahma. Ka is consort of Brahma, that is wife of Brahma, that is Saraswati. And then you have Ma, who is Mahalakshmi, consort of Vishnu. So one who has got Mahalakshmi and Mahasaraswati as her two eyes. So it is believed that if you pray to Ambal, Kamakshi, you are bound to get the grace of both Mahasaraswati and Mahalakshmi. There is also a popular nama in Lalita Sahasranama, Sachamara Ramavani Savya Dakshina Sevita. What does this mean? Mahalakshmi and Mahasaraswati are fanning Ambal constantly, putting chamara for Ambal. That's what it says. Next we look into what Ambal holds in her four hands. She has got two hands in the front and two hands in the back. In the front two hands, she has got Ikshukodanda, sugarcane bow, Pushpabana, that is flower arrows. In the back two hands, she has got Pasham, that is rope or noose, and then Ankusham, which is gourd in English. So the sugarcane bow, Ikshukodanda, symbolizes the sweetness. It is used to control the mind of humans. Our mind is constantly wandering with multiple thoughts, right? Whoever prays to Ambal with her grace, she controls the mind and helps the humans to turn that inward, to realize the Paramatma. And then the Pushpabanam, there are 5 flowers that she holds, which symbolizes the 5 Indriyas. So the sensory organs, Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa and Gandha. So using these, the desires are triggered, right? Using these sensory organs. So why does Ambal hold Pushpabanam? She controls the materialistic desires that we run after. And this sugarcane bow and Pushpabanam represent Kriya Shakti. Coming to the 2 hands that are behind, Pasham, that is rope. It symbolizes attachment that we have on materialistic things. When we pray to Ambal, our attachment is turned towards Ambal and not on materialistic things and desires, worldly desires. This represents Ichcha Shakti. And then we have got Ankusham, that is gourd. This is typically used by mahouts to control elephants, right? So why does Ambal hold this? To subjugate the anger that all of us get out of enmity. So there are Shad Ripus or 6 enemies that are usually mentioned, right? Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsaryam. Kamam means lust or desire. Krodham, anger. Lobham, greediness. Moha, delusion. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, pride or arrogance. And then Matsaryam, jealousy. Ambal holds this Ankusham to control us from all these 6 enemies. So that's the description of what she holds in her hands. There is also a nama which comes to my mind from Lalita Sahasranamam. Mano Rupekshu Kodanda Pancha Tanmatra Sayaka. The Pancha Tanmatras that we just saw. And then Ragaswarupa Pashadhya Krodha Karang Kushojvala. So she holds Pasham and Ankusham to control the attachment and the enmity and other Shadripus that we are affected with. Whoever worships Amba Kamakshi, the Jagat Janani, is bound to get Brahma Jnanam, the supreme knowledge, right? So all of us, have to realize this Brahma Jnanam at some point, in some Janmam at least, if not in this lifetime. So whoever worships Amba Kamakshi, she is definitely to bless us with this Brahma Jnanam, the supreme knowledge or the Advaita Tattvam. And then Amba Kamakshi is Lalita Mahatripura Sundari herself. If you could imagine her form, she is Mahalalita Tripura Sundari, she is Rajarajeshwari, she is also Shri Vidya Parameshwari. She has various names. Kameshwari, who is the queen of all desires. Kamarupini, her form itself is in the form of desires. Kamadayini, who fulfills all our genuine desires, right? And if we consider the entire universe as a cow or Gomata, we have Shripuram as the head portion, and then we have got Himalayas as the throat of the cow, and then you have got Kedarnath, that is the Udaram or stomach of the cow, and then you have got Varanasi as the backbone of the cow, and then the Prishta portion, the hind portion of the cow, which is generally considered to be very sacred, because we believe that's the abode of Mahalakshmi, right? Kamalalayam is considered to be that hind portion. Kamalalayam is Tiruvarur, a district in Tamil Nadu, southern district in Tamil Nadu. And then you have got the Nabhisthanam, the navel portion, which is Kanchipuram, which is in Tamil Nadu. A beautiful comparison, how an umbilical cord nourishes the fetus within the womb of a mother to be. Similarly, the Kanchi Kshetra, which is considered to be the Nabhisthanam, nourishes the entire Jivatmas and the entire universe with her divine grace. And if you had visited Kanchipuram temple, or if you plan to visit, there are totally 5 Kamakshis that are believed to exist there. One is the main deity, who is in the form of Lalita Mahatripura Sundari. Then you have Tapas Kamakshi inside the Sanctum Sanctorum, who is in deep meditation, waiting to be reunited with Parameshwara. And then you have Bangaru Kamakshi, made up of complete gold. Today it is in Tanjore district of Tamil Nadu. And then you have got Utsava Kamakshi, the 4th one. So Utsava Kamakshi is used for all the ceremonies, Utsavams, Kalyana Utsavam, Brahmotsavam. Then you have got Arupa Kamakshi within the Gayatri Mantap of Sanctum Sanctorum itself. So with that, we get into the next part, that is how Amba Kamakshi manifested from the Bilakasham that is present within the Garbhagraham of Kamakshi Amman temple. What do I mean by Bilakasham? Bilam in Sanskrit means a cave-like structure or a hole. So what happened once? There was an asura called Bandakasura who was troubling all the devas and devatas. He was spreading tamoguna, that is darkness everywhere. What that made? So nobody could do their actions. Even Brahma couldn't do the Srishti, and then Vishnu couldn't do the Sthiti. Everybody was in deep sorrow and deep trouble. Meanwhile, this Bandakasura, with his immense tapas, he had got 2 boons from Brahma. What are they? One, until Pralayam, Bandakasura cannot be defeated. Second one, he cannot be killed by anybody except a 5-year-old little Kanya girl. So these were the 2 boons he got from Brahma. Now the devatas were all in deep sorrow because of the sufferings given by Bandakasura, right? So they come down to Bhulokam, our Bhumi. Why? Because our Bhumi is considered to be the sadhana Bhumi. Even devatas come down if they have to do penance, meditation. So that is the beauty of this Bhumi, right? So they come down here to meet Shiva in Kailasha, to explain him about the situation created by Bandakasura. Meanwhile, there is a side story to it. Shiva had actually gone to a forest called Darukavana. Why did he go there? There were a group of rishis in this Darukavana who were all believers of Karma Kanda. They were all Purva Mimamsas. They were doing their Nitya Karma Anushtanas with pride and arrogance without understanding the fundamental Tattva, right? So Shiva wanted to teach them the tattva of Vedanta, and the karma eventually leads to jnana, right? So Shiva disguised himself as Bhikshatana. He went to Darukavana with a begging bowl. What happened there? All the Rishi Patnis were smitten by the handsomeness of our Parameshwara, because he's Sundareshwarar himself, right? He's Kameshwaran. So all the Rishi Patnis were attracted by the beauty of this Bhikshatana. So the Rishis got really angry seeing this, and they cursed Lord Shiva without knowing that he is Lord Shiva. They cursed him to lose his manhood. But Shiva is beyond the gender and everything. He's Paramatma. It couldn't affect him, but he respected the curse. He honored the curse because it came from the mouth of people who follow Dharma. So he honored that curse. Meanwhile, he had also taught them the lesson of the supreme knowledge, the Brahmajnanam, the Vedantic knowledge, by performing the beautiful cosmic dance, or what we call as Ananda Tandavam in Tamil. So Shiva came back to Kailasha. Shiva, with that curse, he had lost his power, he was powerless. He also started doing meditation in the Bilakasham. So this Bilakasham or cave, it had its entrance in Himalayas. So the Bilam started from Himalaya and then it exited in Kanchipuram. That's the beauty. So Shiva sat in between that cave and he was in deep meditation. So coming back to our Bandakasura story, hope you all remember. So the Devatas had come to Kailasha in search of Parameshwara, right, to complain about Bandakasura. So somehow they were also very powerless. Somehow they entered this Bilakasham. They found Shiva inside that Bilakasham in deep meditation. Shiva was shining like a molten gold there. Why? Because it is because of the power of Adi Parashakti who is present in the Nabhisthanam or in the Kanchipuram Kshetra Bilakasham. So the Devatas explained the situation. Shiva suggested that they all pray to Adi Shakti who is present in the form of Jyotiswarupini in Kanchi Kshetra. Shiva suggested the Devatas to start their penance on Ambal and she would respond to their penance. He also suggested the Devatas to take the form of parrots, and he mentioned there is a Champaka tree in Kanchi Kshetra. So he said, you all go to that Champaka tree, you take the form of parrots and you start meditating upon this Parashakti who would answer your penance. So even today, if you notice, if you had gone to Kamakshi Amman temple, I am sure we would spot at least a couple of parrots. It is believed that Devatas, even today, they come here to meditate upon the Adi Parashakti there. So the Devatas started meditating, and what happened? Ambal listened to their penance, and if you could remember the two boons that Bandakasura had, until Pralayam, he cannot be defeated, because he thought Pralayam was very, very far away and it wouldn't come anywhere nearer. So he got that as one of the boons. So now Parashakti, that is Kamakshi Ambal, created a type of a Pralayam. How? Just by closing her eyes and opening. Unmesha Nimishotpanna Vipanna Bhuvanavalihi. This is a nama in Sahasranamam, Lalita Sahasranamam, right? Just by closing her eyes, she created a type of Pralayam. Why did she create that? In order to remove all the darkness that was spread by this Bandakasura. And then also he had got a boon, right? Until Pralayam, he cannot be defeated. So she created the Pralayam, and again everybody was created. She created the Trimurtis. Everything was created from the scratch. The Trimurtis were also given her Stanapanam, that is the bosom milk. It is not a normal milk, right? It is a milk of knowledge that she gave to all these Trimurtis, Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva, to start doing their duties. Bhagavad Padal in Saundarya Lahari had written a beautiful shloka related to this. Trayanam Devanam Tri त्रिगुणजनितानां तव शिवे भवेत् पूजा पूजा तव चरणयोर्या विरचितां तथा हि त्वत्पादोद्वहनं मणिपीठस्य निकटे स्थिता हेते शश्वन् मुकुलितकरोतं स मकुटाः. So what does this say? Trayanam Devanam. All the three Trimurtis were created by the Trigunas of Devi. What are the Trigunas? Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. So using the Sattva Guna, she created Lord Vishnu, who does protection or sustenance. And then using her Rajoguna, she created Lord Brahma, who does Srishtikarta, creation. And then using the Tamoguna, she created Rudra Parameshwara, who is the Samhara Murti. And even all of us have a mix of all these gunas, right? But what we need to aim for in life is increase the proportion of Sattva Guna. Of course, we all need Raja Guna and Tamo Guna. We can't be just having Sattva Guna because we are all not Jivan Muktas. At least most of us are not Jivan Muktas. So Raja Guna is needed to perform our day-to-day duties and actions, and Tamo Guna, only with Tamo Guna we will be able to go to sleep at the night. So what we have to aim for in life is increase the proportion of Sattva Guna and then limit the other two gunas. So Ambal created Trimurtis, also gave her Stanapanam, the milk of knowledge, to all these Trimurtis, and she created the Trimurtis with her eyes. Another interpretation of the word Kamakshi is Ka plus A plus Ma plus Akshi. Ka meaning Brahma, A is Rudra here, Ma is Mahavishnu. So she created all the three with her mere glance. So now Bandakasura came back because Pralayam happened. Again she created everybody, right? So Bandakasura again came back. In order to defeat Bandakasura, what she did, she took a form of a little 5-year-old little Kanya girl, Bala, a Bala form. And then she went to Kailasha, where Bandakasura was residing. So there in Kailasha, how she defeated Bandakasura, she took the form of an 18-armed Bhairavi Devi. So she took the form of a Bhairavi and defeated Bandakasura. And then she took his head and came back to Kanchipuram Kshetra, which is in the south. When she came back, she again took the form of a Bala girl, a little Kanya girl, Bala Tripura Sundari. So Devatas were all totally surprised by looking at this Bala girl who was holding the head of Bandakasura. They were all astonished and asking, "Who are you, Ma? How did you kill this Asura? What happened?" They were asking all sorts of questions to Amba Kamakshi, who is in the form of Bala Tripura Sundari. For that, she replied, "I declared the defeat of Bandakasura, but for all the questions, I will be able to reply only the next day dawn." She also instructed a couple of things to the Devatas who were meditating. She said, "Erect a Jayastambam." Stambam in Sanskrit means pillar. Jayastambam is pillar of victory. Erect a Jayastambam in Kanchi Kshetra. So if you visit the temple, you could notice before entering the Gayatri Mandap or Sanctum Sanctorum, there is a stamba there. That is Jayastambam. Bury the body of Bandakasura below this Jayastambam and have a path or connection between this Jayastambam and the Sanctum Sanctorum. She also instructed to have a Gayatri Mandapam with 24 pillars, because Gayatri mantra has 24 aksharas, right? So 24 pillars have to be erected in Gayatri Mandapam, and within the Sanctum Sanctorum, a platform has to be placed in the form of Pranava mantra, and whatever form they are seeing now, that is Bala form, she asked them to erect a structure like a Bala form. So she gave these instructions. There is also a famous shloka with regards to the Gayatri Mandapa. Gayatri Mantapadharam Nabhistanam Bhuvah Param Purushartha Pradham Shambho Bilaprantam Namamyaham. What does this mean? Bilaprantam Namamyaham. I prostrate to the Bilakasham, and that which gives the highest purushartha. You have dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Highest purushartha is moksha or liberation to all the jivatmas. And then you have the nabhisthanam, the navel spot of the earth, which bestows the supreme fruit of living. That's what the shloka means. So by giving these instructions, she said, throughout the entire night, all of you have to meditate upon me, and I will reveal to you the next day dawn my true form. So that was the instruction given by this Bala girl, Bala Tripura Sundari. So all the devatas, they all started meditating in front of the Gayatri Mantapam. They did all these construction as instructed by Ambal. So they sat before the Sanctum Sanctorum and started meditating throughout that night, the previous night. Usually there is a famous saying, Ratri Sadhana leads to Pratak Kala Jnana. The meditation leads to the knowledge the next day dawn. So the next day, when the devatas were about to open the Garbhagraham, so that's the day which is celebrated as the Janma Nakshatra of Kamakshi Ambal to even today. That is Aipasi months, that is the month we are in, coincidentally. Purva Palguni star, that is the star of Kamakshi Ambal. Aipasi Puram or Aipasi Purva Palguni Nakshatram is the Janma Nakshatram of Ambal. Even today, hundreds of liters of milk is offered as Abhishekam to that Bilakasham, and nobody knows where that milk goes. No milk is spilled out, so it's still a mystery, divine mystery. So what happened? Devatas started meditating. The next day dawn has arrived. They are about to open the door of the Sanctum Sanctorum or Garbhagraham. So now I want all of us to close our eyes for a few minutes and meditate upon the form of Devi in whatever form you know while I am describing Devi's form. Let this be a meditation to all of us while we are going to open the Sanctum Sanctorum and we are going to worship Kamakshi Devi, who is going to be present there. So let us just all close our eyes for a few seconds while I am describing the form. So the next day morning, Devatas are opening the door of Sanctum Sanctorum. What they see now is Lalita MahaPeriyava Sundari herself in the form of Amba Kamakshi. There is no Bala Tripura Sundari, there is Lalita MahaPeriyava Sundari Raja Rajeshwari, who is sitting in the Padmasana. Let us describe from Keshadi Padam, from head to foot. Kamakshi Ambal's crown is glowing with the most precious stones and gems you could ever find, and there is a moon in that crown. And then she has got kasturi smeared on her forehead, that is turmeric paste smeared on her forehead. The two eyes are glowing, are very radiant, and it looks like a tender champaka flowers embedded as her eyes. And then her nose is soft and slender like another young champaka flower. Her cheek looks like a mirror in which all these gem-studded ornaments are getting reflected. And then her tatankas, her earrings, she has got sun as one of her earrings and the other as the moon, and it is dazzling in beauty and magnificence. And then her slender like neck, and before that her mouth is chewing the tambulam constantly. What is tambulam? The betel leaves. She is constantly chewing the tambulam in her mouth. That's why she has got red color in her mouth. And she has also got a very gentle smile, mandasmitam, in her mouth while she is chewing the tambulam. Her neck is holding all the divine ornaments that you could imagine. In the midst of all these divine ornaments, there lies the Mangal Sutra or Tirumangalyam, which was tied by Lord Shiva. So this Mangal Sutra is bound to give prosperity and auspiciousness to all the humans, all the jivatmas who surrender to her. And then her four hands are holding Ikshukodanda, sugarcane bow, Pushpabana, flower arrows, Pasha and Ankusha. And then comes her Padara Vindam, lotus feet, in which we all surrender. Her lotus feet are looking like 10 studded rupees at her, all her 10 toes. So that's the form that these devatas are witnessing the next day dawn. Lalita Mahatripura Sundari, Kamakshi herself is sitting on that sanctum sanctorum the next day morning. She is Karuna Pushpita Kalpalata. What is Kalpalata? She is a soft creeper who fulfills all the genuine dharmic desires that we all get. What is Karuna Pushpita? It adds beauty to that creeper. Her compassion, she is an embodiment of compassion, right? Her compassion is like a flower that has come out of that creeper. That is why Karuna Pushpita Kalpalata. So the Bala Tripura Sundari has now become Lalita Mahatripura Sundari. So in both the cases, if you notice, Tripura Sundari remains the same. She is completely made up of magnificence and beauty. She is not made up of blood and flesh like ours, right? Her body is made up of 51 aksharas that we have got. Akaradi Shakarantaha Matruka Varna Rupini. Her body is made up of these 51 aksharas, and then she is Karuna Rasa Sagara and Avyaja Karuna Murti, the namas that come in Lalita Sahasranamam. She is also red in color. Her body is red in color. In Devatin Kural, or in Voice of God, Mahaperiva mentions in volume 1, Ambal is red in color and she is also black in color at some times. But here she is glowing reddish. Why? This red symbolizes love or compassion towards the human beings. That is why she has got the reddish tinge. There is also a shloka that Bhagavad Padal has written in Saundarya Lahari, 93rd shloka, that reinstates Ambal is red in color. Jagatratum Shambhoho Jayati Karuna Kachi Daruna. And there is also a Dhyana shloka, if you all could remember, in Lalita Sahasranamam, Arunam Karunam Tarangi Takshim, the shloka, the Dhyana shloka that comes, right, which reinstates the fact that she is Aruna, that is red in color. So with that, we have seen the description of Ambal, how she manifested from the Bilakasham. There is also an interesting experience that I wanted to share that happened when Mahaperiva, Kanchi MahaPeriyava was camping in Andhra Pradesh. He was about to start his puja, the Chandramaulishwara puja, and what he noticed in Kamakshi Amman's Vigraham, the sari at one corner was slightly torn. He noticed that, but he didn't want to stop the puja. He didn't want to tell anybody. He carried out the puja. He went ahead. When the puja, Chandramaulishwara puja, was happening, there was one Suvasini lady who entered, who looked like a beggar woman. Her saris were completely torn. She didn't have any ornament. She was trying to enter the mandap. The volunteers over there didn't allow her to enter because they considered to be inauspicious just by the look that she had, because her saris were completely torn. But Mahaperiva noticed what was happening. He instructed the volunteers to allow her inside, and he also asked what she wanted. The Suvasini lady mentioned that she needed a new sari because her sari was torn. She also needed ornaments because she didn't have anything to wear. Mahaperiva instructed one of the volunteers to bring a nice sari and also a lot of ornaments and gave it to the Suvasini lady. And then this lady went out. One of the volunteers there, he was little skeptical, doubtful about this lady because he didn't believe that she would actually wear or use those sari and ornaments given by Mahaperiva. So he tried to follow her. What happened? There was one temple that came and the Suvasini lady entered that temple and vanished. So he realized somebody had slapped this volunteer when he was following. So when he came and narrated this to Kanchi MahaPeriyava, so that woman is none other than Kamakshi herself, right? So Mahaperiva then mentioned that the sari was torn. He noticed while he was about to start the puja. So Ambal herself came. She is Karuna Murti, right? And Mahaperiva and Kamakshi Ambal are one and the same. When you worship Amba Kamakshi, you are worshipping Mahaperiva, you are bound to get his grace. Similarly, when you worship Mahaperiva, you are worshipping Kanchi Kamakshi Ambal. So this is one of the experiences that actually give us that goosebumps, right? Because Ambal herself came down out of her compassion. And we next move on to the interaction that happened among Manmatha, Ambal and Parameshwara. Manmatha, once he came to Kanchipuram and started meditating, what happened? Why did he do that? Let's see that story now. It's quite a popular story. Most of you must have heard this. Again, let me add a few more interesting facts while I'm narrating this. Shiva was once in deep meditation. Shiva took the form of Dakshinamurti. He was completely in penance with his chin mudra. What had happened? Asuras like Surapadman, Tarakasura were again troubling these devatas. History repeats, right? So these devatas were again giving trouble to all these, these asuras, Surapadman and Tarakasura were giving trouble to devatas. Coincidentally, we just had Sura Samharam that got over a few days back, and it's very nice to remember the story again. So the devatas instructed Manmatha to go and stand in front of Parameshwara and to disturb the penance, because that's when Kumara Sambhavam can happen, only when Dakshinamurti comes out of the penance, right? But Manmatha, what he did, Manmatha also holds similar to Ambal, Ikshukodanda and Pushpabanam. But why does he hold? To create desires among us, to have this cycle of birth and death. That's the duty of Manmatha, right? So he came in front of Parameshwara, but he stood with arrogance. He thought he could win over Shiva that easily. How ignorant. So Shiva slightly opened his third eye and Manmatha was burnt to ashes. We knew that story. Manmatha again went to Ambal. He prayed to her. Rati Devi also went to Ambal. Out of her compassion, Ambal brought back the form of Manmatha, right? But now Ambal went and stood in front of the Dakshinamurti Swarupam. She also went with Ikshukodanda, Pushpabana, but she went and stood with love and compassion. She became Kameshwari, completely with love. Kamakshi also means one whose eyes is completely filled with love. So she stood with humbleness, love and compassion. Now Dakshinamurti opened his eyes and Parvati Kalyanam happened, and then Kumara Sambhavam happened. Let me just sing one Tirupugal now for you all. So Kumara Sambhavam happened, Muruga was born. Yerumayil yeri vilayada mugamundre Isharudan yanamuri peshu mugamundre Kurumadiyaargal vinai teertha mugamundre Kundruruva vel vaangi nindra mugamundre Maarupadu shoorarai vadaitha mugamundre Valliyai manam punara vanda mugamundre Aarumugamana porul nee arulal vendum Adi Arunachalamamanda Perumale Adi Arunachalamamanda Perumale. So Kumara Sambhavam happened, Muruga was born and he defeated the Asura, Shurapadman and Tarakasura. So when you look at the form of Somaskanda in any temple, you would notice Muruga sits in between Uma and Shambhu. That's why the name Somaskanda, right? It means Sa, Uma and Skanda. Shambhu along with the Uma and Skanda, Skanda in between. Interestingly, Mahaperiva in Voice of God, Volume 1 mentions that Kumarakottam temple, which is a Subramanya Swami temple in Kanchipuram, is placed right in between Kamakshi Amman temple and Ekambranadar temple, similar to the form of Somaskanda. This is one interesting fact that I wanted to share. And so now Kumara Sambhavam happened. Manmatha came back to Kamakshi Amman, he was in deep sorrow. He said, even though he stood in arrogance now, he realized his mistake. He came back and stood with complete love and compassion, asking compassion from Ambal. He came to Ambal again. Now Ambal realized, okay, Manmatha has realized his mistake, and Dakshinamurti also became Kalyana Sundarara out of the desire, right? So there Manmathan actually won. In order to prove this victory to the entire universe, what she did, she drew all the power from Ambal's Sannadhis in every Shiva temple across the globe. And she drew that Ambal Sanidhyam to Kanchipuram. Now what happened? Shiva was in deep sorrow without the Shakti. He didn't know what to do. He was completely grief struck. Brahma came as a messenger to Ambal, and he asked, what's this Leela, Ambal? I mean, why are you doing this? Shiva is completely in sorrow. Again, reiterating the fact that desire won there, Kamam won there, Ambal declared the victory of Manmathan, and again the Ambal Sanidhyam went back to all the Sannadhis of Shiva temple. Thus she declared the victory of Manmathan. That's why if you notice, in Kanchipuram, no temple would have an Ambal Sannadhi. It's only the Empress, that is Kamakshi Ambal only in Kanchipuram. No other Shiva temple will have Ambal Sannadhi. It is called Shiva Jit Kshetra or Pralaya Jit Kshetra, also two names, because it won over Shiva, right? And it also stood even during the times of Pralayam. Kanchipuram was not destructed when Ambal closed her eyes when Pralayam happened. So it is also referred as Pralaya Jit Kshetra. So even today, the temples in Kanchipuram, Varadaraja temple, be it Ekambareshwara temple or Subramanya Swami temple, Kumarakotam, if there are any utsavams or ceremonies that are happening, they come to Kanchipuram, Kamakshi Amman temple, they circumambulate the premises and then go back to their temple. That's the ceremony that's being followed today. And there is also an interesting shloka that Bhagavad Padal has written in Saundarya Lahari, the first shloka. So we have to refer Lalita Sahasranamam and Saundarya Lahari when we talk about Ambal, right? So the first shloka, which reiterates the fact that Shiva cannot even move or shake his fingers without the power from Shakti. So he is just Shivam, he is powerless without Ambal. Only when Shiva Shakti Aikyam happen, all the actions can happen. So the shloka is Shiva Shaktya Yukto Yadi Bhavati Shaktah Prabhavitum Na Chedevam Devo Na Khalu Kushalas Spanditumapi Atastvamaradhyam Harihara Virinchadibhirapi Pranantum Stotum Va Kathamakrita Punyaf Prabhavati Spanditumapi. What does that mean? Shiva cannot even move or shake a little bit without the Shakti. The Shiva Shakti Swarupam is always essential. That's why they refer Shiva as the potential energy and Shakti as the kinetic energy, which actually triggers the power within all of us. And there is also an interesting comparison between Chidambara Kshetra and Kanchipura Kshetra. Chidambaram, which is in the southern part of Tamil Nadu again, it is, if you consider the entire universe as a Virat Purusha, then the heart of that Virat Purusha lies in Chidambaram. So if you had visited this Kshetra, there is something called Chidambara Rahasyam, right? When you go to the Sanctum Sanctorum, they just remove a screen and show you the sky and tells you that this is the Chidambara Rahasyam. It is nothing but the Chidakasham, the consciousness that is present within each and every one of us. The Advaita Tattva. What does it what do we have to infer from this? All of us need to see the supreme consciousness or the Parabrahman within each one of us by meditation or by any of the sadhanas that we do. So the Jnana, Brahma Jnana is confined to the Chit Sabai in Chidambara Kshetram. Whereas when you come to Kanchipuram, which is the navel spot of the earth, the Jnanam is pervaded across the region. It is not just confined to the Sanctum Sanctorum, whereas in Chidambaram it is confined to that Chit Sabai. In Kanchipuram it is spread across all the region, throughout the region. So there is the beautiful comparison between Chidambaram and Kanchi Kshetra. And coming to the final session for the day, which is one of the important works on Mother Goddess Amba Kamakshi, Mooka Panchashathi. It is a magnum opus work composed by Mooka Kavi, who became the Acharya of Kanchi Math later, Mooka Shankarendra Saraswati, 20th Acharya. So what happened? We'll quickly see the story how this Mookar became a Mooka Kavi. Mookar means a mute person. He always used to visit Kamakshi Ambal temple, and he used to meditate throughout the day sitting in front of the Garbhagraham. Because he couldn't talk, he couldn't even hear. So he was always in meditation on Ambal. And one day what happened? Ambal came down from the Sanctum Sanctorum in order to bless the devotees. She came down from the Garbhagraham, and there was another king who was also sitting beside this Mookar. When Ambal came, she first offered her Tambula Prasadam, Uchishtam they call, that is the betel leaves remains, the Tambula Prasadam to that king. But how foolish he was. He ignored that Prasadam. He didn't want to have somebody else's remains. How foolish. Ambal just slightly looked at the Mookar who was sitting next to him by her mere sidelong glance, and she asked whether you want to take my Tambula Prasadam. Mookar very happily accepted the Tambula Prasadam. What happened? There was a downpour of 500 beautiful Ratnas on Amba Kamakshi. Panchashathi means 500 verses. He composed 500 beautiful verses divided into 5 Shatakas. 100 verses, 5 Shatakas, starting from Arya Shatakam, which describes the Nama Rupa glory, or the name and the glory of name and form of Ambal, the Nama Rupa Mahima. 100 verses called Arya Shatakam. Then Padaravinda Shatakam, describing the lotus feet of Ambal. Then you have the Stuti Shatakam, praising all the characteristics of Ambal. 100 verses again. And then you have Kataksha Shatakam, those who slowly progress in their spiritual journey, when they get Viveka, the Kataksha Shatakam is very, very helpful. When they chant this, they are definitely to get the Vivekam in their spiritual life. So another 100 shlokas on Kataksham, the sidelong glance of Ambal, describing that. And then finally you have Mandasmita Shatakam, the gentle smile of Ambal, describing the gentle smile, another 100 verses. You have to sequentially chant while you are doing Parayanam of Mooka Panchashathi. And once what happened, somebody had come for darshan of Mahaperiyava. They had, as a child, the child had speech issues. The parents were really worried and explaining that to Mahaperiyava. And he instructed the parents to keep chanting Mooka Panchashathi, especially the Arya Shatakam, because that would give us a good communication and articulation speech skills. So the parents also did the same. Now the boy has become a scholar. He also does commentary to all the Bhashyams. So that's the power, Mahima of Mooka Panchashathi. And by mere chanting of Mooka Panchashathi again and again, one is bound to get the Brahma Jnanam, the supreme Jnanam that would help us cross this ocean of samsara, right? Cross the cycle of birth and death. So Mooka Panchashathi is very powerful when you chant the entire 500 verses. Whoever can do that, we all should chant this beautiful shlokam. And then there are 2 forms described in Mooka Panchashathi. One, Ambala's Parabrahma Swarupini, Sachidananda Swarupini. The second form is the consort of Ekambareshwara. So that's the description you could see. So let us get into a few shlokas. Let us meditate upon a couple of shlokas from Mooka Panchashathi and what Mooka Kavi means by that. Karana parachidrupa Kanchipuram Kamapitagata Kachana viharati karuna Kashmirastabaka komalangalata. Karana parachidrupa. Para is supreme, parachidrupa, the supreme consciousness. She is the root cause of all the consciousness, all the jivatmas. Kanchipuram Kamapitagata, one who has her abode or residence in Kanchipura Kshetra, that is the meaning. Karana parachidrupa Kanchipuram Kamapitagata Kachana viharati karuna. Kachana, one who is beyond description. Who are we to describe Ambal, right? She is beyond words and thoughts. She is Parabrahma Swarupini. Kachana viharati, one who is playing or sporting in the Kshetra of Kanchipuram. So all the leelas that we saw now, right, the killing of Bandakasura or the Asuravadam, the Kumara Sambhavam, so all these leelas or sport that Ishvara and Ambal plays, those teach subtle lessons to all the humans. So what we need to infer from that, we need to take the lessons that they are trying to teach with these leelas that they are playing. So coming back to this shloka, Kachana viharati karuna. She is the embodiment of compassion and love, right? Kachana viharati karuna. She is Sudha Sagara Madhyastha Kamakshi Kamadayini. Kachana viharati karuna Kashmirastabaka komalangalata. She is like a soft creeper. Komalangalata is creeper which is very, very soft and slender. And Kashmirastabakam, a bunch of saffron flowers. She is as soft and slender as a bunch of saffron flowers. So that is the meaning of this particular shloka. The second shloka, Kanchana Kanchi Nilayam Karadhrita Kodanda Bana Shrini Pasham Katinastana Bharanamram Kaivalyananda Kandamavalam. She is holding Karadhrita, she is holding in her hand Kodanda Bana Shrini Pasham. Ikshu Kodandam Pushpa Banam Pasham and Ankusham, as we already saw recently. Katinastana Bharanamram. She has got a hard bosom full of milk. What does this milk signify? Milk full of knowledge, jnana, that she is ready to give to all the jivatmas and to all the devatas, trimurtis, everybody. Katinastana Bharanamram Kaivalyananda Kandamavalambe. Kaivalyam, the moksha, the supreme purushartha. So one who takes support in Ambal is bound to get this highest purushartha, Kaivalyam, happiness of moksha, Kaivalyanandam, happiness of liberation. So that is the meaning of this particular shloka. And there are also few shlokas, Karya Siddhi shlokas, that all of us might need in our day-to-day lives. For example, when you chant the 91st shloka from Arya Shatakam, it would help you in finding a good marriage proposal, a faster proposal for your kids. So the reason why I'm saying is, it is good to know all these, but the mindset in which you have to chant or do any spiritual sadhana is complete Sharanagati. You don't expect the result and do any spiritual sadhana. You just surrender at the feet of Ambal and Ishvara and keep doing your spiritual sadhana, right? And who is better than Ambal? She knows when to give what and to whom, right? So all of us should keep doing the spiritual sadhana, but it is good to know a few shlokas that would help us in our day-to-day samsara. And then you have got Arya Shatakam's 78th shloka, which would give good vidya, good education to students. And then to get the Navagraha blessings from the planetary blessings, there is 59th shloka from Padaravinda Shatakam, that is the second Shatakam. And to get rid of ailments, health issues, you have Manmatha, you have got Mandasmita Shatakam, 94th shloka. This would help you get rid of health issues and ailments. And whoever can, it is suggested, it is recommended that you do the Parayanam of the entire 500 shlokas. It has great benefits. It gives you the Brahma Jnanam, as I already mentioned. So whoever can meditate, can do the Parayanam of all the 500, please do that. Otherwise, there is something called Mooka Sharam, which Kanchi MahaSwamigal has done. It is a brief collection of 30 plus shlokas. Whoever is unable to do the Parayanam of all the 500, please use this Mooka Saram, a selective collection of 30 plus shlokas from Mooka Panchashathi. You can include that in your daily Parayanam. So with that, I come to the conclusion, or the concluding part of today's talk. So it is a great privilege for me to talk about Amba Kamakshi, Mother Goddess. Without her sankalpa, without her wish, nobody can utter a word, nobody can listen about her, nobody can even do smaranam of Ambal, right? So we all should be very grateful to the Mother Goddess Kamakshi Ambal for having given this beautiful opportunity to be a part of this satsangam. So there are 3 things which I wanted to reinstate before we conclude. In our spiritual sadhana, to progress in our spiritual life, there are 3 things which we could follow. One is Nama Japam, that is recommended in the Bhakti Margam, which is also one of the easiest to carry out in this Kali Yuga, right? Whatever Nama Japam, whether it is Panchaksharam, Ashtaksharam, Shodashakshari, or Ramanama Japam, whatever Nama of Ishvara, please keep chanting that every day. You could do that while you're working, while you're doing your household chores, while you're cooking, while you're traveling. You could do at any point. Eventually that becomes a meditation. So that is Nama Japam. Secondly, let us allocate some time for meditation or dhyana in our day-to-day lives. As Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi mentions, dhyana is one of the effective ways to understand oneself and also to understand that Advaita Bhava, what is inside me, is also present inside within each one of you. So that Atma Vicharam, that's the benefit of dhyana. Eventually you'll also do the Atma Vicharam and self-inquiry and self-realization. It also gives one of the greatest benefits, Manas Shanti, right? That peace of mind is what we all yearn for, isn't it? Dhyanam gives you that Manas Shanti, controls the thoughts that are constantly wandering. Next is Adhyanam, practice or doing Parayanam of all these shlokas, stotras, Sankirtanam, Nama Sankirtanam, but doing it consistently. That is the key here. If you could allocate, let's say 30 minutes or whatever time you could afford to, let's say 20 minutes, 30 minutes, if you could do that consistently every day, we are definitely bound to get the grace of Ambal, and we will definitely progress in our spiritual sadhana. And we should always surrender at the feet of Ambal. We should do Sharanagati. We should always offer the fruit of all these karmas that we do at the feet of Ambal. That is the greatest lesson that we all must learn. And again, it's a great opportunity for all of us. We all must be grateful to Ambal, all the gurus, acharyas for giving this satsang. I also again thank the organizers of Shri Shankara Hall. I also thank my mentor Srimati Rajani Arjun Shankar, who actually referred me and gave this opportunity, referred me to the organizers of Shankara Hall. With that, we come to the conclusion. Azhagana Kanchiyil Pugalaga Vazhndidum Annai Kamakshi Umaye Raka Chandra Samana Kanti Vadana Mooka Pirajastudha Raka Chandra Samana Kanti Vadana Nakadhirajastudha Mooka Namapi Kurvati Suradhuni Nikasha Bhagvaibhavam Shri Kanchi Nagari Vihara Rasika Shoka Pahantri Satam Eka Punya Parampara Pashupate Rakarini Rajate मातक्षणं स्नपय मां तव वीक्षितेन मन्दाक्षितेन सुजनैरपरोक्षितेन कामाक्षि कर्मतिमिरोत्करभास्करेण श्रेयस्करेण मधुपत्युदितस्करेण. Shri Matre Namaha. Namaskaram, and thank you so much everybody for joining this session and listening to this beautiful satsangam. Thank you all and Namaskaram.